listening to Fight Stories.
Welcome to another episode of Fight Stories. I'm John Moses. Oh, this is a big one. This is the episode many people have been waiting for, and it is the second to last episode of Season 1. We are talking Fight Club, baby. The long-awaited Long Island, scratch that, Shaun Island Fight Club, formerly the Long Island Fight Club, rebranded after tragedy struck one of the promoters. And the second half of the episode is our interview with comedian Dante Nero. Dante, if you're in New York, you know Dante. Funny guy, but also known for just being a tough son of a bitch. I would say he's the toughest comedian in New York. Many would agree with me. And there is a wide fucking space between him and the rest of the comedians. You know, I know you hear toughest comedian, and it's like saying, well, that's like being the smartest kid in a special class, right? No. Dante's the real deal. He was cast in the movie Fighting with Channing Tatum that was out like 10 years ago, and he was cast in that movie because he used to fight in an underground fight circuit similar to the one depicted in the movie. He used to be a stripper and was his own security force while he was stripping, and he's a brown belt in some sort of like Shaun black belt karate discipline. He's a badass. So we talked to him. We actually talked to him, me and Tyler, in his Jeep outside of Gotham. He was, good enough to squeeze us in. And that was a real cool interview. So, but before that, Fight Club. How did this come to be? I was doing a show in September out in Long Island, and it was in the middle of a boxing ring. And, oh, man, did I bomb that night. But the guys at the school were such cool dudes at the wrestling school, the New York Wrestling Connection, John and Shane. Really cool guys. They thought it was hilarious. And they introduced me to the promoter and said, you got to talk to this guy. Once I started talking about Fight Stories, he was like, oh, man, you got to talk to this guy. They do a fight club here. So I went, and I was introduced to Jared Cohen. And Jared was totally into the idea. He's like, listen, come. It's awesome. We get 500 people in here. I'll give you full access. You can talk to all the fighters in the back, and we'll accommodate you as much as we can. And he did not lie. He did all of those things, and it was great. Everybody that I spoke to over there that was associated with the event were really good. And without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. Welcome to Fight Club. I'm here at the New York Wrestling Connection with John and Shane. They run this place. I met these guys 2 months ago. I did a comedy show here and bombed pretty miserably in a ring for the first time.
Well, there were two guys here that thought you were pretty funny.
I thought you were the best thing in the whole place, man. Here, stop doubting yourself.
So I came out, and it's a wrestling school, so I came out without a shirt, and I said my wrestling name's White Power. The three people talking right now are the only three white people in the building.
Fact.
Yeah. But they had a good time, but they enjoyed that line.
Yeah, it was funny.
So, John, you've seen this event here before. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to go out and give 100%. I mean, some guys are fairly skilled. Some guys have no skill at all, but they give 100%. And,
right.
You're going to see some guys get beat up.
Some guys get hurt pretty bad?
I don't know if they hurt pretty bad. I mean, maybe their feelings hurt pretty bad.
Oh, yeah?
But, some guys, are not as tough as they think they are, but,
I wonder if they walk out of here a little more humble. You know what I mean?
It does take a big set to go out there and fight, though.
All right, let me explain the atmosphere here a little bit. I get there 7 o'clock. Fight starts at 8. Now, people are already there setting up. It's probably been setting up since about 6. So what you've got is the promoters. You've already got probably half, maybe 3/4 of the fighters in the back room starting to warm up. You've got security, and then you've got like the vendors, the DJs, anybody who's helping out. And there are some people that have already gotten in that aren't necessarily any of those people, People are lining up outside. Security hasn't let, the whole crowd in yet, so people are lining up in the laneway. And at the end of the laneway, there are a couple of cop cars for good measure. Now, I used to host an amateur strip contest in the Bronx, at Sin City, and sometimes it got a little dangerous in there. The energy in the building right now reminded me of that. So, fellas, you're security, right?
Yeah.
Can you just give us a little rundown of the pep talk Jared gave you guys before?
Well, actually, we've been doing this since day one with Jared, so there's no pep talk.
Right.
He trusts us. We do.
I just need the pat downs.
Oh no, it's just usually what happens is a lot of people come in early before security gets here. We got to pat everybody down. They're waiting for me. So.
Jared, the promoter, he said when I first met him and we talked about doing the episode, he would give me full access. He said that if you want to come backstage before the fight, talk to all the fighters, you can do that. Sometimes we have to have security back there to keep them from fighting before the match because all of the fighters are in one room. They're like in one holding area, and they're warming up and staring at each other, trying to get in each other's heads. It didn't get to that level, but still there was a tension in the room when he brought me back there.
You guys have your attention, please? So I'm Jared. I'm one of the owners of the Fight Club. I appreciate all you guys coming out and fighting for us. This right here is John Moses.
How's it going,
he
fellas?
does a podcast. He did Ken Shamrock last week. So I told him he'd come down, kind of get full access. So he's going to walk around and talk to you guys, and you guys just let loose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why you got into fighting, why you're here tonight. So we just want to show him some love. All right?
Great. So anybody that wants to talk, great. You want to talk before the fight, after the fight, that's awesome. I'm going to be watching. And I'll take all your social media and shit as soon as we're done talking so you know when the episode's coming and you can plug it and you can get in contact with me and say, hey, fuck that. I'm on probation.
Jojo, this is John.
How you doing?
Jojo's actually a former fighter himself. We hire him to take care of the fighters, wrap their hands, all that kind of stuff.
Jojo, how long have you been doing? I mean, it sounds like you're a lifelong guy. Your dad was a trainer. You're here tonight.
Well, my father fought.
Oh, you fought?
Yeah, he got 2 belts, the USBF and the Long Island title.
Oh, shit. All right.
And he won the gloves in '97. I won him in 2007. No, he won him in '91. I won him in 2007.
Oh, okay. I thought you could say you won him in '97. You won him in '99.
No, he won him in.
Like 10 years older than
Yeah, he won him in '91.
Moses' dad's a legend.
Yeah.
Lumberjack Lou, legend. John went to see him. John went to see him in Gold Gloves. Win the Gold Gloves.
Really?
Right, yeah.
Oh, John, really?
John over here, Chris.
Yeah.
Joey Bernard, one of our other partner, is best friends with his dad.
Yeah.
Small world.
Oh,
and then he went to see him win the Gold Gloves. This kid's nasty. This kid's sick. If you saw this guy in box,
I should have
fast
stayed
hands,
fighting. I
fast
should have
hands.
kept fighting.
His dad's legend.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, feared.
I just
feared.
dropped him off.
Feared. And, like, you hear his name, Lumberjack Lou, it's like,
That's a great name.
Lumberjack Lou, dude, he's the man, and he will not. First time I met Lumberjack Lou, he had a monkey. A monkey on his shoulder, and then I said, I love this guy. And then I heard the legend behind it. He had a monkey, a pet monkey. I'm like, this guy's a legend. Now it's like, and on top he has a pet monkey. Come on, like, dude. And I met this guy, Golden Gloves kid, it's nuts.
All right, so lifelong you've been in this thing. So what are you doing tonight?
Just prepping the fighters, wrapping hands, make sure they're good.
Okay, but like give them a little head check? Or just wrapping hands?
Just wrapping hands, making sure their hands are good, make sure they got a mouthpiece.
Okay.
You know, the refs talk to them, tell them the rules and all that.
Gotcha.
You know, make sure they're good.
Gotcha. Are you like in the wings, like waiting in case somebody starts acting wild? You gotta go.
No,
in there?
I don't do that no more.
No more. Right?
No more.
Right on.
Yeah, I got too many assault charges.
So so you're a trained dude, obviously, and technical and all this shit. You see these guys going in here, just going wild, swinging at each other.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you think about it?
I tried to fight in it when they first started it, and John knew me, and he wouldn't let me. So, and then I was like, well, I can't find it that will let me help you. So I judged a couple of the last fights,
Okay.
to help him out a little bit.
What do you mean, like judge them? Like when nobody gets knocked out?
Scored the
like, all right,
fights.
who
No, I
won?
scored the fights.
Okay.
You see, so
Okay.
sat on the side of the ring and scored. See who won each round. So
Sweet.
helping out a little bit.
You just here to have fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I made it have fun. Yeah, like
It's great energy.
I know everybody here. Like
Yeah.
he said, it's fun.
Yeah. That's great.
Environment.
Thanks,
I know this guy trained in my father's gym
Really?
since I was like 12.
So everybody here is sort of involved in like fighting
Yeah.
in some way, in some shape or form.
Yeah, he was
And
in
just
and
likes-
then fighting, and then
Yeah.
no. people like to talk and people like to, show off.
So
So
you
it's
guys
like,
like
let's
watching
give
it
you a
get
chance.
shut down?
Yeah, let's give you a chance to,
I love it. I love it.
And I was thinking about winning the
And some of them he does tournaments for money and all that. Some people win money, prizes. So it's fun.
Oh, this is great.
A lot of people like to see people get knocked out too. So
Is there a lot of knockouts here?
Yeah, my boy got knocked out cold. I brought him here.
What was that?
He got he got knocked out. It was here too. The first time they did it here. Yeah. He's huge. He was like 290, like this. Yeah, he got caught and he was like. I had to throw water on him to get him up. Well, the fights here, most of them is somebody gets lucky and hits you, or they're both just tired.
Right.
He'll see.
So what do they go, like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And the real truth of the matter is that my ref makes sure that they don't stand still, hold, hugging.
nice.
You tell him in the fighter prep meeting you can't hold. If he sees you holding, he's going to break you up right away. So it keeps they only got 2 minutes.
Right.
2 minutes to do what they got to do.
Everybody I talked to that was involved with the Shaun Island Fight Club seemed like pretty good dudes. They weren't out there to see somebody get hurt. They do their best to match people up according to experience and weight class. Now, there can be some wild differences in weight class when you're not talking about trained athletes. 175 pounds can look very different on two people, right? But the guys who are running it, they don't want to see anybody get hurt. That said, they do want to see people get knocked out. They just happen to know that getting knocked out isn't the worst thing in the world because, they're boxers themselves and have probably been knocked out. Tell me something. How did you get involved in this tonight?
Followed it 2 years ago. Always been a boxing fan, fiend, whatever you call it.
Boxing fan or somebody that boxed?
I boxed.
Okay.
Did it throughout high school year. Stopped after a coach passed away, unfortunately.
Okay.
Back out of retirement, so see how I'm going to do.
Nice. So you haven't done any boxing
I haven't
really?
boxed in like 3 years.
In 3 years?
Yeah.
You were in high school 3 years ago?
No.
I was going to say you have not aged well.
No. Thank you.
Okay, so tonight, is this the first Fight Club type of fight?
This is going to be my first time back in completely.
Okay.
In general.
How you feel?
I'm not nervous.
No?
My motivation is actually tonight is actually not for me. It's not about the money or anything. I'm fighting for my mom and grandma right now, so it's more than just that. It's just that's my motivation.
What do you mean? Explain that a little.
For the past 2 years, my mom been battling cancer,
Oh shit.
so she's been a superhero in my life.
Yeah.
So that I look at as like a role model hero. If she could survive and continue to fight through it, why not?
And also, you gotta be, if your mom's been fighting cancer for 2 years, you gotta have some fucking aggression you want to get out.
I'm gonna let my inner demon come out.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
What's your name, dude?
Angel.
All right. What's your name?
Alonzo Green.
Alonzo.
Yeah.
Is this your first fight? Like
This-
in this?
Yes.
type of
Yes.
situation?
Yes. 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 This
How
is
you
my
feeling?
first fight. I'm feeling fantastic, bruh. Feeling fantastic. See, the thing is
Everybody's feeling pretty
the thing is about this event and everything. So, because I'm a battle rapper, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I've been on Sway in the Morning, Funk Flex, XYZ, so on and so forth. So, like, yeah. So this is like, I told Shaun that this was something that I would just try and shit. And he told me, he was like, yo, bro, you fight with the bars. You don't really fight with the this, that, and the third or whatever. But between you and I, sir, I'm gonna be doing Southpaw Philly Shell tonight.
So Alonzo and Angel end up squaring off against each other. Angel is fighting under the name Grizz for whatever reason. And out of the two of them, I got to say, I kind of wanted Angel to win this fight. He just seemed a little more humble. All of these guys think they can fight and, feel confident in their level of fight experience despite not being in the ring necessarily. But I got to tell you, it shows. And it kind of makes me question, how good would I do in there with me and all my bullshit about the street fights I've been into when I was half-cocked? So these guys end up going, and it's a pretty big mismatch. Angel is like probably 5'4", and like just this like short, stocky dude. And, Alonzo's probably closer to like 5'10", 5'11". And he is not like he's like a lean, slim dude, right? So these guys get in the ring, and after about 30 seconds, Alonzo is completely out of gas. I mean, at one point, he's got both of his hands on his knees, and Grizz is kind of giving it to him. Now, if you asked me who won this fight, I would have to give it to Grizz. I was completely shocked when the judges scored it for Alonzo. But I mean, what do I know? You know, I'm not a boxer. I don't judge this shit. How are you getting warmed up in the road? You look like you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I even have like this breathing technique. It's like a deep breathing technique that I feel like I could oxidize my body a little bit so that you're a little bit more better.
This is like before the fight, of course.
Yeah, this is before a fight. It was just in there. You could do it at any time. Sometimes it can leave you lightheaded, but once you come from it, you feel very good. I feel very oxidized.
I'm gonna do that before I tell jokes.
That's for real. It relaxes you. It supposedly resets your chemistry. I do it for the oxygen things, but it's supposedly you can control your emotion afterwards. And if you're mad, you know, you can basically restart your whole body.
What's the name of the technique?
Alkaline breathing.
Alkaline breathing.
Yes, sir. Wim Hof method.
Oh, of all the things that I expected to hear tonight, this was not one of them. I feel like this is close to meditation.
Yeah. It's a little bit close to meditation. I still got the same animalistic though, go out and rip this guy's head off. He's got a belt that I want type of thing, but for I guess the reality and how I'm standing around and stuff, you're right, it's a form of meditation. I'm definitely staying calm. Being channeled in my head, hoping making it seem like ain't nobody's touching me or nobody's on my level.
How many fights have you been in? Three of these types of fights.
One for Long Island Fight Club. It's a neighborhood fighting group called Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, really? I heard about Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah, we versed Long Island Fight Club. Versed them before.
Okay.
I actually fought for Long Island at the time.
Okay.
And it was my first fight. I came out there like an animal, and I learned the hard way. You got to channel your energy. You come out there with too much of an emotion, you get tapped once, and your mind spins. That's what happens to you. You need to be calm. You need to be in the fight, and at the same time, not so in the stress of the fight. Like,
right. Was where the breathing comes in.
With the breathing. That's why I guess the breathing and physically wise.
So,
and what is it? It was one fight with Long Island I lost for, two fights for Rumble in the Bronx, and 2 losses, 1 win.
So is there a lot of guys from the Rumble in the Bronx?
There is.
Club
Secretly a little bit. There's actually another fighter. There's one other fighter that I know. I definitely got in contact with him. I was like, "You're fighting for this stuff?" Me and him feel pretty like friends here or whatever.
Okay.
And
it's like when you're on the road.
To be honest, the COs, and the COs, they're cool. So it's not like we're doing anything wrong or anything. But we do feel like we in an extra group,
little camaraderie.
within the group. Yeah, within the group.
So 4 fights you've been in this, but how many fights? Like a lot of street fights when you were?
Yeah, I don't know if this is this way for every fighter, but ever since I was in 5th grade, I could say. Even in 5th grade, I knew. You want to take this to the back? Like, you want to not do this in front of teachers or in front of parents and do this? I think in 8th grade, I try to start an underground, like, fight group, a backyard fight group, and I try to have people put their quarrels out on the grass, because it was in my backyard in the grass.
Yeah.
And go up against each other and beat it out. No one snitching. Gloves. It was MMA gloves. It was almost everything allowed. I didn't know the safety things. Now that I look at it, like I could have got really in trouble for this stuff.
When you're a kid, though.
Yeah, you throw an elbow or something. You're right. But thank God no one was ever stitched up. If anybody ever got stitched, it probably would have ended it. I probably would have been in trouble for it. But instead, it turned out positive. Everybody fought. People fought. I would bring people with beefs and say, you know you don't like him. They would either stay silent.
I would bet that guys fought each other and came out of their friends and are still friends to this day.
Still friends to this day. In I tell my brother, some of your greatest friends could at one point have been an enemy. I feel like enemies make the best friends afterwards, because you guys know how that feels. You guys know how it feels to be at the worst thinking of each other. So once that's over, you're actually closer than someone like you and your brother, because you and your brother never got nasty like that. You didn't want to ever kill him or beat him up or anything.
Well, not my brother.
Yeah. No, I know, but a beef with someone on the street is always different from someone within someone you know, because it really does get those different anger thoughts up that you would never have against like your brother or someone like that. You would know, okay, I just have him for now, but he's my brother.
Right.
In the street, you have a
right.
no
That
holds
comes-
bar.
that
I
comes
want
because
him to die.
You're thinking about that shit for days.
For
and
days.
and days.
So when you finally somehow find out you haven't been so opposite,
Yeah.
this is what it seems. It seems like you guys have more in common.
It's almost like a relief.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Cool. What's your name?
Isaac.
Isaac.
Go by Ice.
Ice. Good luck tonight, man.
Yes, sir. I don't really believe in luck, but I know what you're saying. Go
Yeah,
fortune,
you
brother.
know what I
Pray
mean.
for me. Pray for me. Thank you, brother. Isaac. Yes, sir.
How you feel?
Good. What? Very good. I have I'm actually 2-2 now. So if I didn't win this one, it was really gonna start to come my mind like, is this fighting thing for me? Yeah, you feel like there are some naturals, but in this sport, I can't even after this fight, I feel like there are no such thing as naturals. You try and you make yourself what you are, and it's just people who've done that faster than you did in a faster age. They did that younger than you did, and that's all. 24.
24, he's still young. Did he hit you with anything you weren't expecting?
Hooks.
Was there a moment in the fight?
There was he hooks wide, and to me there's like two different fighters. There's straight punchers and people who punch wide hooks. When they catch you, the room definitely spins for a second. When a hook catches you, you're looking straight. It came from the side. You have like a bit of a car accident for a second and have to straighten yourself out. And even though he's not hitting you, you find yourself straightening yourself out for a long time, a few seconds, because you're disoriented, to be honest. You are.
All right, so I'm talking to D, and I just overheard. So this is your first fight tonight, first time in the ring.
Ever, period.
Ever, period.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Like fighting?
Street fights?
No street fights.
Street fights.
Street fights.
That's it. I was talked into this by a couple of friends. They were like, "Yo, D, you know how to fight? Fuck it, go try them amateurs." I said, "Let me do it. Throw it off the bucket list. Fuck it. If I get my ass kicked, I get my ass kicked. I came to do it."
So is there any headgear or anything like that you're wearing tonight?
Mouthpiece. That's about it.
Just a mouthpiece.
Mouthpiece. Straight.
How many street fights have you been in?
Oof. Can't count.
All right, so it's not like you're walking into this thing blind.
Nah, I'm pretty sure I can defend myself for a little bit at least, or
right. So, have you been training leading up to this?
I was actually told about. I've always been into exercise, and I do a little exercise here and there. Besides, I try to do like 300 to 400 push-ups a day, along with other stuff.
300 to 400 push-ups a day.
I try. I don't do it every day, but when I do it, I do about 300 to 400. Like maybe every other day. I'm always exercising. I'm in pretty good shape. So.
When are you fighting?
I supposedly tonight.
But you know where, like in
the. All I know is that we fighting with weight classes.
Right.
I found out. Anyway? 176.
Okay.
I found out about this week. My friends just threw it in the air. I was like, fuck it.
You found out about this week?
Like about 4 days ago.
So it's not like you had like 3 months
nope,
going to the gym and hitting the bag or anything like that?
Just straight. I was told it was
Monday,
straight.
Somebody told you something. So what are you doing this weekend?
Nah, let's say Tuesday, Wednesday. One of those 2 days. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of amateurs, but apparently a few of these guys been in the ring, but I'm not scared. Fuck it. I just want to get...
Without even knowing. And I know they're not supposed to have any amateur pro experience, but I just can't. Pro, I don't think there probably isn't, but I can't imagine some of these motherfuckers haven't been training.
I guess they look like a bunch of people that have been training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You guys look like a bunch of fighters.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Do you mind talking after the fight? I mean,
not a problem. If you catch me, if I catch you, whatever happens, if I'm not knocked out or if I'm the winner, whatever happens.
Right, sweet. Thanks, D. Appreciate it, man.
All right, no problem, man.
Right after I'm done talking with D, I started noticing this white guy. And he's dressed like the cover of Assassin's Creed. He's got like this hoodie covering his forehead. You can just see his eyes poking out. He looks fucking intense. He's ripped. And he doesn't want nothing to do with nobody. He just looks laser focused. It turns out that's the guy that D is fighting. And they get in the ring. And by the way, let me just say, both of these guys are probably in the best shape out of anybody in the tournament. Like, these guys get in the ring, you're like, okay, here it goes. This is going to be, the battle of the Titans. But it is clear that the white guy has some boxing training and that D doesn't. That said, you take a look at D, you don't necessarily want to tangle with this guy in the street. I still don't. and I watched him fight. He just doesn't have boxing skills. But to get in the ring, you know, not having those skills, fucking, you got to take your hat off to him. I mean, you heard the guy. You heard he didn't have any preparation. He was like, I don't have any plans this weekend. So he gets in the ring, and this white guy really just starts working him.
Huh? I'm going against the white guy, guys. I want D to win this. That's my best friend. And that's a friend of mine, too. Oh, he's a friend of yours, too? Yeah. Oh.
Now, even though it looked like when these guys both stepped into the ring, this is going to be the fight of the night, just based on how big and strong these guys looked, it wasn't. It was good. It was a good fight, and I guess it was entertaining watching D get beat up. But the fight of the night belonged to the kid.
You're fighting tonight.
Yeah.
Is this your first fight in this situation? Yeah. Who are you with?
Well, this is my cousin.
Your cousin?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you guys look fucking squirrely, man.
Yeah.
You guys look like you fucking know how to throw. What's your name?
Thomas Benanti.
Travis what?
Thomas Benanti.
Thomas Benanti. So, Thomas, how many fights have you been in outside of this, though?
Not that much. I'm just a casual type of person, you know.
Really? So, how much have you been training for this fight?
I've been training about 3 weeks before this fight. So.
3 weeks. You look like you're in the back room, though. You look like you're throwing around, like you guys think you feel pretty comfortable.
Right.
You can just learn that in 3 weeks.
No. It's just I also boxed before this, and also I have a lot of experience. I've been going since I was 7 years old.
Oh, since you were 7?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this is a little bit of a coming out.
For the last
3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's training for this.
Out about it.
He's been fighting for his whole life.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's good to see some white guys in here.
Oh, man.
I fight professionally in MMA.
Oh,
so,
you do?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
I mean, I've been out of it for a few years, a little fat and out of shape, so I'm like having that.
I saw you throwing, warming up. You look like you knew your way around.
Yeah, you know, I'm not concerned about anything. You know, I'm out here to have fun. I'm not out here to win, to lose. You know, I could care less.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit my record. You know, I'm just out here to get stuff off my chest, kind of move around, and.
You're fighting tonight.
Yep.
Oh, you're fighting too.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. So your family's fighting tonight.
He's the reason I'm fighting. It's his first time ever actually being in front of a crowd competing, so I was like, you know, I have experience in these situations, and I'd like to be there and kind of show him that I'm not afraid to do it. You better not be afraid to do it, you know? I'm fighting on a bunch of injuries right now, you know, so I'm probably go out there, get knocked out for all I know, but as long as I show him I'm out there to do it, I have confidence in him, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. He's
You must. I hope you guys put a limit on your drinking at Thanksgiving. It sounds like you get a little crazy.
Yeah, we definitely get into it, you know. We have our scuffles, but he's a boxer, I'm a wrestler, so I always have the upper hand. So,
but you're boxing tonight.
Yeah, second time ever boxing. First time was with these guys.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, so I'm not experienced boxing whatsoever. You'll see it in the ring, you know.
Yeah.
You'll see a little bit of wrestling come out, and
You just like the fighting.
I just like the fight. Win or lose, you know, I'm out here to just enjoy my life.
Yeah.
You know, I love doing it. It's something that I don't get in trouble doing it on the street.
That's it, dude.
I'd rather come out here, get knocked out, and have fun in front of a crowd.
And know that it's going to be left here, and you're not going to get fucking stomped out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to have 5 people jump in on top of me, and, you know, I'm out here to just have fun. That's what it's about, you know. Keep my anger kind of to a limit.
It's a fucking cheap therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So.
All right. Good luck, man.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, I'm here with TJ. He just won his fight. TJ, how you feeling?
I feel good right now. Yeah, I just won. Yeah, feel very good right now. Very.
I feel like the crowd was rooting for you, man, because you got a baby face, you know.
Yeah, I got a baby face. I'm young, man. I'm only 18. You know.
You're fucking 18 years old.
I'm 18 years old, bro.
Holy fuck! Look at the nuts on the kid.
Okay, so this fucking makes total sense to me because the first 30 seconds of the fight, I was a little worried about you.
I know. I was getting my shit
I didn't
rocked.
know you were young. I didn't know you were fucking such a kid. I was like, fuck, he's fighting a man right now.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
But then I swear, and I said this without knowing your age. I was in the back, and I was in the something happened between the first and second round, where suddenly you look like a totally different fucking guy. I was like, I just watched this kid go through puberty. He went from a boy to a man. He went from a fucking boy to a man.
You just said you're a boy in here.
So what happened? At what point did you feel the thing turn? Because
there was a big turn, but when I was like in my corner and whatnot, like when I was resting, I was like, all right, maybe I could do some changes or whatnot, you know? Maybe all the time in the gym, like I wasn't gonna just turn around and just say I'm gonna quit.
Because all of a sudden you were like bobbing and weaving, and looking at, it's like your training kicks in.
Yeah.
Do to him every day.
Yeah, I was.
Torture him every day.
Yeah, I go 6 days a week, every day to the gym. I don't slash or nothing, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't do nothing. Yeah, hey, still in high school, you know.
And you saved your brother-in-law from fighting too. I was like, well, why's he got to fight now? You won. He's like, I think I can call this one off.
My shoulder's good now. You know, let's go.
Well, that's awesome, man. I got video of it if you want me to send it to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Can I post the last like 10
Do
seconds
whatever you
of
want.
it?
Do whatever you want.
I'll send it to you guys right now.
You really have
it?
Oh, that's
You
awesome,
got the video, bro?
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's not
bro.
the best video, but
Hey, it's something.
Okay, good.
I don't got none of it.
Good.
I had to stand there. I'm like,
What did you
your
say?
legs and
What did
shit.
you say to him between rounds?
Dude, I'm like, fuck this guy up, bro. You got this.
You never
Because
did it?
listen, when the guy hit him, I seen him eat it, and then he gave it to him, and then I just seen him confidence. He was like, fuck this, bobbing and weaving.
Yeah,
and then
I
I
know
knew
what?
he had it. I knew his fear was gone.
Yeah.
He was so like
that was it.
I was so
even
scared,
Tyson
like,
said, Tyson was like, I'm so scared before every Tyson. Scared shit before the fight. When Tyson walks in the ring, he's a god.
Right.
But he's scared until he gets into the ring.
Until he gets into the ring.
Then he's in the ring. He's good.
That was great. That was great. What a great fucking story, man.
He did what we told to do.
It was a coming of age story.
Yeah, he definitely listened to our instructions. You know.
Yeah.
We told him that he's never competed before. He's never had a fight.
Yeah.
I told him, you know, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get scared shitless.
Yeah.
I said, when you get hit, it's either do or die. You're gonna hit, you're gonna run,
Well, that's
or
a
you're
good-
gonna
that's
hit,
a
and you're
good
gonna press forward.
story for school
You
on
press
Monday,
forward, you're
bro.
gonna scare the
He's
shit
going
out
to
of your
school on
opponent.
Monday. You fought a man.
That's what he did.
So he ate it. He took what he had to give, and then he gave it back.
You know, that initial exchange, we were all worried, but you know, he started listening and moving around a little bit more and gained that confidence, and that confidence is what gave him that win.
That guy's no little guy.
No.
Big boy.
I'm telling you,
kid,
when
you
he
know?
jumped in the ring, I was like, oh boy.
But he trains, bro. A lot. So we knew the training's going to kick in easily. It's got to kick in. Got to kick in.
Right.
But sometimes a good shot in your face can take your training away.
Right.
But sometimes in exchange, he ate it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But we do that to him on the regular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got that composure back, and that's what he needed, you know.
But we do that shit to him. Where he's got to catch it. You know?
So where you guys heading now?
Well, back home.
We're gonna go home.
I'm going home.
Taco Bell.
I'm gonna stuff like this. I'm gonna eat like a pig. When I
The
get
fucking
home.
meal of champions.
It's definitely time to fuck your girl, bro. It's been 3 weeks since you fucking fucking load, bro. 3 weeks, bro.
So you went serious for this one. You didn't fuck anybody for 3 weeks.
I was serious.
I was
Hey,
back
that's
down.
gonna
Back
fuck
it
your
up
head
for
up.
Yeah.
That's gonna fuck your head up. Don't you mess with no bitches, you know.
It's only going to be about 10 seconds. It's going to be a lot quicker than the fight, bro.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Fucking really great fight tonight, guys. Really great
Hey,
talking to
it
you,
was
man.
Great talking.
Thanks, man.
Take care,
Appreciate
guys.
it, man.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Thank
Here,
you.
come. That is the Long Island Fight Club half of this episode. Much anticipated. All the fighters who I spoke to have been hitting me up. Yo, when's it coming out? It's been a beast to edit, fellas. I apologize, but I thank you for talking to me, and I had an absolute blast that night. I want to thank Jared Cohen and the Long Island / Shaun Island Fight Club family for giving me full access out there and treating me right. And I also want to thank the dudes, my boys, John and Shane at the New York Wrestling Connection. Those guys are a real blast, and they're always welcoming me and inviting me to events. It's just that you're so goddamn far, fellas. But they do have, if you're out that way, or even if you're in New York, they got a couple of events coming up. February 21st, Outlaw Wrestling. And February 22nd, they've got a Matter of Pride. And that is the first LGBTQ, did I say all of them? The first LGBTQ wrestling league. And this one has piqued my interest. I guess you could say I'm a little bi-curious. 435 Brook Avenue, Deer Park, New York. Or you can just go to the nycwrestling.com for information. That is the following week, February 21st, 22nd.
And again, the Shaun Island Fight Club, look for that stuff. I'm sure they're going to have another event soon, likely in the summertime. We'll blast it out as soon as we know more. That's that. Second half of this episode. Great conversation with Dante Nero. I'm not going to reintroduce him. And we also discussed some of his credits as we were talking, but it's a great interview. He trained sort of this with a multidisciplinary philosophy many years before MMA was a thing. Who knows? If the UFC was around back in those days, Dante might not be a comedian at all. Very interesting conversation. Gives you a little fight history. And, of course, Dante, in addition to be a funny comic, was in the movie Fighting and was a headliner in the New York City stripping league? I don't know. Circuit? Anyway, really interesting interview with Dante. So here it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can you dig it?
All right. Oh man, all right. Fight Stories, John Moses. I'm here with my co-host Tyler Morrison. We're right outside Gotham Comedy Club talking to Dante Nero. Dante, thanks for doing the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
Now,
I like the studio.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're in Dante's Jeep, which is dope. He looks like he's ready for a zombie apocalypse with this Jeep. He's got gas cans on the side of it, probably a Glock under the seat.
Yeah, well,
Licensed.
Well, you got to turn the heat to one thing and then pull the gas. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you. But.
And we're sitting at a bus stop. So let me give you guys a little background on Dante, because for the people who don't know, because everybody in the New York comedy scene knows who he is, and great comic, been doing it a long time. Very popular podcast. Was in the movie Fighting. That was a big scene where he fought Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
And but the reason why I asked him to do it, and I was very excited when he said yes, is because I would say he is not universally regarded, but probably anybody who sort of knows about fighting would probably put Dante at the top of the pile as far as like the toughest comic in New York City.
Okay, I guess.
And you're supposed to react like that. You're not supposed to be like, "That's right, motherfucker. Come get the crowd."
Now my next spot, I'm scrapping with somebody before
exactly.
I go up. Yeah,
exactly.
Those the Warriors.
Yeah, I'm good.
Before you were a comic,
yeah,
you were a stripper.
Yeah, I was a male stripper for like 10 years.
For a male stripper for 10 years.
Yeah.
And while you were stripping, you were doing what? Because you got a black belt in something, don't you?
I don't have a black belt. I got a brown in Japanese jiu-jitsu. I did Jeet Kune Do. I did 2 phases. Jeet is Bruce Lee's thing. I did Jeet for like 2 phases. But I jumped around to different martial arts. I did judo for 2 years. I did Fujapai, which is Eagle Claw. I boxed a little bit. I just kind of like bounced around and tried different. I would go to different martial arts schools, and then you get beat up for the first 6 months because you don't know their style.
Right.
And then you start to get and you start to get the feel of it, and then you just kind of integrate. So I did that for a while, but I used to fight for money. Like I bounced and I stripped and I.
Because you're a very large man.
Yeah, I'm about 320.
320.
Yeah.
Wow.
6'1", 320.
Wow.
Yeah, I did some powerlifting too for years. But
when you were younger and you were like cut up, were you like walking around at 265 or something?
Around 260, 265 around that.
God, you just said so much in the first minute and a half that I feel like
you gotta unpack it
a little bit, because it's like you're running around, you're doing this multidisciplinary shit.
Yeah.
This is long before any MMA type of shit. This is just coming from a natural curiosity.
Well, there's a lot of guys. I mean, really, when you talk about MMA, Bruce Lee was kind of really, I would say, is the grandfather of MMA.
Interdisciplinary.
Yeah, because he was mixing Wing Chun, Filipino martial arts, Western boxing, Gene LaBelle, which is mixed grappling arts, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Bruce Lee was fucking with Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So, but Guru Dan Ensanto was his Filipino instructor, which is the Filipino dude in the Game of Death when you see him go.
Oh, yeah.
But even prior to that, there was a lot of black martial artists who were Fruit of Islam dudes who were doing that already, because a lot of these dudes were ex-cons and stuff, and they were integrating, boxing and.
So when they were in the joint, they'd be like, "This is what I'm doing." This is what he's
multiple disciplines and stuff like that.
Wow, that's fucking fascinating.
Yeah. There's also something that came out of prison called what is it called? The 50
Shades of Grey.
No, what was that? The 50 blocking system. 50 blocking system, I think it's called.
Okay.
It was like a street kind of martial arts, but it was a mix of a lot of different things too. It was in the joint dudes who, did that. But there was a lot of Muslim dudes, Fruit of Islam dudes who were, state penitentiary, and they were taking martial arts, but they did Japanese jiu-jitsu, boxing, and different disciplines, and they were mixing disciplines years ago.
That makes that fucking whole place so much more terrifying.
Yeah.
These guys fucking, with nothing to do, just studying fucking martial arts.
Well, it's funny is there's a rule now that cops can't run up in a mosque, because years ago the Fruit of Islam beat up the cops and threw them down the stairs in the 70s, and that was a rule that was a law that you don't run up in a mosque. That was
shit.
I don't know if that would work now, but with all the shit but back in the days that was a thing.
Right.
And I trained with a really prominent dude, Moses Powell, and he actually went out and was training with Gaddafi's guard.
Really?
Yeah, he was a maniac. Yeah, he was a serious dude. But I mean, I just ran up on them. I just found him.
Through like your fight curiosity.
Yeah, he was a Brooklyn dude, and my dad was a youth worker. Like, he did basketball tournaments and stuff. Like, he has a street named after him and a park named after him.
That's awesome. Cool.
So he was doing that since like 1935. And,
wow.
And so my dad knew him, and I kind of knew him, and he kind of became my other dad, And I trained with those guys, but I didn't have a day job, so I trained with all the masters, the 5th degree black belts, during the day, because they would train during the day, because everybody had jobs, and I was kind of shaking my dick at night, so I was home. So I got a real sense of what martial arts is, the way it becomes when it becomes that kind of art form. So a lot of people, like when people get a black belt just means that you've mastered the system, that you know the whole system.
Okay.
And then 5th degree black belt is when you've mastered the system. 6th degree black belt is when you start to give back to the system.
Okay.
It's when you start to create things beyond what the system is.
Can you tell me the story about when you fought and when you were stripping?
Yeah, I got a lot of stories with that. I probably got more knockouts in a G-string than anybody you know. Because, we're talking about the 90s, and 90s New York was real rough.
Yeah.
And it was extremely homophobic, and their perception was the fact that you would dance with women that you were gay. So, which is ridiculous, but however they got there.
Right.
So I got a bunch of stories. I mean, I have
2 best ones. It's fine.
I got a lot of best ones.
2 anyway.
Okay, so I had I'm trying to think which. Okay, so I had a situation where a guy. So the strippers we all knew each other.
Right.
And we knew each other because we worked. It's just like comedy. Like right now,
it's a small community.
Yeah, and shows were being done every weekend. Right. Yeah, right. So like I would do 5 shows on a Friday, 5 shows on a Saturday, easy like that.
Just in the Bronx and the New York City area?
In New York City area, Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Bronx, just running around. So like I would start at like 5, 6 o'clock and just private parties and clubs, and by 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock I'd be in a club, and then I'd go to another club, and like that. And I would do anywhere from 5 5 to 6 on a Friday, 5 to 6 on a Saturday, 3. Like we're
Who
running
is
around.
the
just
booker on that gig?
What's the cabbie thinking when you get in the G Street?
Well, I had a car. I was.
Right.
I had a car, so I was running around in the car. But I mean, so we the community, we knew each other, but there was always guys. I would always go, guys, why don't you come with me to the strip show? Like if I knew, hey John, why don't you come hang out? And you'd be like, I don't like going to see those strippers. And I'd be like, look, there's 2,000 women there,
right,
and us.
Right.
And there's more ricochet pussy than you could possibly go. And so I had guys that would come and hang out with me.
Yeah.
They would get 5 or 6 numbers and they'd disappear for like a month.
Yeah,
and then they'd come and then they'd re-up or whatever.
Yeah.
One night we were at this club in Brooklyn. The club's called the Africa House. The guy's in he's in the I used to manage an escort service for a while. So I was bouncing at a club, and the girls were a little crazy, and so they asked me to manage. And I knew all the female strippers, and so I'm managing this escort service. It was right around the time when Giuliani was cleaning up New York, and he was sending Vice out.
Oh, shit.
And there was all this shit about you had to be. If a woman was nude, you had to be so many feet away from her. And they was shutting clubs down and stuff. Giuliani was doing those, so he's always been a dirtbag.
But he's been a good guy. He's been a dirtbag.
So we used to do these locked door parties.
Right.
And like where they would lock the door and they would do live sex acts and stuff on stage, stuff like that. And I was dating this chick, this female stripper at the time, and she used to do this live sex acts with this other chick. They used to go up and eat each other's pussy, whatever. And I knew her dude, right? And the dude, he kind of ran on me. He's like, man, I'm a little tight. You mind if I borrow a few dollars, right? And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So I lent him the money, and it was like $8 or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's in the neighborhood, and every time I see him, he's kind of like, he's, oh man, I'm gonna get that to you. And it was $8. I'm not really tripping.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was just acknowledging it was good enough. And then all of a sudden, he would see me and then not acknowledge me.
Yeah.
And it just was
grinding.
Just grinding on me, and I would see him, and he wouldn't acknowledge me, and I was like, this motherfucker. And I just kept, because it was the principle. I mean, I understand it was only $8.
Yeah.
But it was the principle of the $8. My friends don't agree with that, but they think $8 to beat the shit out of somebody is not really enough. But fuck them. So I'm doing a show at this club called the Africa House, and the guy comes to the show, and he's hanging out with his friends, got a couple of drinks in it, and now he's talking to me, right? So he's like, oh man, Dingo, blah 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 blah, yo, you doing it? And I'm like, this motherfucker. And I'm kind of looking at him like, you talking to me? Now you talking to me?
Yeah.
So this was at the latter part of my career. So I started putting on weight. So people always go, what made you stop? I go, you stop stripping when you have to decide whether you wear your G-string over your stomach or under your stomach. That's the line. So I was putting on weight. I was getting old. I was checking out, and he started making these comments. Oh, you gotta lose some weight. It's in front of his and I'm like, this motherfucker owes me $8, and he's and so
you're just more annoyed. It's not even $8.
So he's laughing, and I'm just steaming, but not even giving it. And I kind of give him a pound. I give him a pound, and like the hug pound. So I give him a pound, wrap my hand around, and I back into the dressing room door. I pull him into the dressing room door, right?
Yeah.
And I close the door. And I go, you punk motherfucker, where's my $8, right? And he goes, no, I didn't go $8. I go, you punk motherfucker, where's my money? Bang, and I hit him, right? And he's out. Now, I'm in full regalia, like G-string, headdress, the whole shit. And I'm barefoot, because I used to dance barefoot. So I hit him, he goes down in the corner, and I'm stomping him barefoot, right? I'm just stomping the shit out of him, stomping him. And my boy is in the room, he's getting dressed, because he's supposed to perform too. And the bouncer's coming and go, open the door. So he locks the door,
Yeah.
And he's standing leaning against the door. He's like, I can't get it open. I can't get it. And I'm stomping the dude, right? And I'm stomping him. You could hear the slapping of my bare feet, just blah, 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 blah. And I go, you motherfucker. I go, next time you'll give me my $8. And my boy goes, $8? And I'm like, fuck you. Like, so they come in, the bouncers come in, they pick the dude up, right? He's all lumped up and shit. And then he was like, oh, man, what happened? What happened? I'm like, yo, dude, I go,
they're adjusting his
whatever. And they take him and they throw him out. Then they throw him out of the club. And so now the funny thing is that, so I had a group. When I was stripping, I had a group of guys. The name of the group was called Wet Seduction. It was like we had 16 guys. We had 16 guys in the group. Yeah. And it was the group, and a lot of the dudes they were thugged out dudes. Like a lot of these dudes had just got out of jail or whatever, and because that's why they were so built. They was in such great shape.
Right.
And so I go home. This is 1990, so you got your answering service, right? So all of a sudden, it's around 10 o'clock, we all start muscling around trying to, just like comics, 10, 11 o'clock, we start muscling around trying to get coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get the first call, click, 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 and the call says, yeah, Mandingo, remember that $250 I borrowed from you? I'm gonna come and drop it off today. So they're just fucking with me. Everybody. So I get like 16 calls of these guys. Remember that quarter you lent me?
35 cents.
And they're just fucking lining them up like fucking idiots.
So, you know what? And I did not fucking barefoot stomp him over the money. But there was this comic who asked me to do a show, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, man, I'll do it. It was just a $100 little bullshit show.
Yeah.
And he gets to I'm a little light, man. Can I just give you the 50 later? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then I see him, and he's light. And then the next time I see him, he just kind of stops talking about it.
Yeah.
Now I'm hosting the strip club up in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And it was a good fucking time. And I would invite anybody who wanted to come. It was always open to any comic. You could walk in for free.
Right.
We'd take care of you. And then he's like, yo, man, can I come hang out? And I'm like, no, man. Fucking no. I would have done the show for $50.
Right,
I don't even care about the $50. It's the fucking principle.
It's the principle of it.
That you're running around worried about seeing me now because of fucking $50. You know?
Just talk to me.
Talk to me. Right.
Just talk to me. And it's funny that I had there's a camaraderie. Like we have a camaraderie. Like as comics, we have a camaraderie. And you know, John, we see each other, we speak with some. But this is like the first time we're really kicking it. And but there's a camaraderie. So if we have a difficulty, there would be a conversation before things got. Another time but they would bring, like the strippers would bring their, everybody would come and bring the dudes who used to come to get the Ricochet pussy, right? Yeah. And everybody had their cousin or whatever. And so I remember these two comics were having a little dispute. Not comics, the strippers were having a dispute. And but they knew each other, so it was kind of like, grabbing, tussling, but it, it wasn't really like, dude, what the fuck is wrong? Like we weren't. But the other dude, but it was like 3-on-3, and I ended up pairing off with one of the dude's cousins.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there. My other boys pairs off with his brother, and the other two so they're like arguing back and forth, and they're tussling. So the guy throws like an overhand right hand at me. So I see him throw, he kind of telegraphs, I block it. I'm like, yo, chill. It ain't really that
so
serious.
You gave him that. You were like, hey, man.
Throws it again. I'm like, yo, stop. Like, this is not that serious. So, yo, I don't know what the fuck you, whatever. So I, was doing a lot of self-defense, like Brazilian. So I hit him in the palm, hit him in the chin. And I spun it, and I grabbed him, and I spun him around backwards. Well, I hit him in the face, and I went to knee him in the thigh, in the quad. And then I spun him around, and I threw him in a chokehold, and like a real naked, And I threw the rear naked on him, and then he kept tussling. He was like fighting and tussling.
Are you guys rear naked at this point? Like, you're not fucking G-stringed up.
No, I'm not G-stringed.
Oh, okay. You probably got 10 more minutes. Oh, okay. All right. So he's going to jump out.
Yeah.
We'll do another 10 minutes.
What time is this spot?
I think it's at midnight. So
Okay.
I just got to piss real. Thanks, Dante.
All right, brother. See you, brother. Have a good set.
Yeah.
So the guy, so I spin him, but he's still tussling.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, he's a Billy badass. All right. So I put the hammer down on. I cut off the blood flow, and I put him down. But I'm also like grabbing his Adam's. So I got my hand around his Adam's apple, and then I'm pressing down with the other hand, and the guy's tussling and tussling and tussling. And as he's tussling, I'm like, this motherfucker's tough. I take him, I wrestle him down just backwards. I back him down, and then I go to release him, and he just kind of rolls out of my hands. Right.
Right. So he's out.
He's out. Right. And so he rolls out. I grab my boy, and I like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here. Right.
Do you think he's dead?
I don't know. I'm just getting the fuck out.
Yeah.
So we get the fuck out, and we're in the front. So like if you have a scrap with somebody that you go, hi, your boy okay? You see your boy's okay, and I'm like, yo, your boy's okay, and they were like, nah, he's not. Like, yo, he can't breathe, and he's walking around, he can't stand up. So apparently, when I went to knee him in the thigh, I hit him in the side of the knee, and I broke the leg. And then when I spun him, his weight was on the leg, and so he broke the leg in 2 more places. So when I choked him, the reason why he was tussling is because, but I mugged him. I covered his mouth and his throat, and I mugged him out so he couldn't yell. And he's tussling as he's in his pain,
fucking excruciating pain.
And I'm think he's fucking being a dick, and I put him out. So the dude goes. They bring the little skinny wheelchair in, and they bring him in, and he ended up having to get a cast, and they like bruised his trachea, and it was fucked up. And now I'm in, it's 90s, so now I'm like, so I got to go visit this dude because I need to know
if he's not going to come back.
Right. So I need to see what the vibe is, because if the vibe is that he's going at, then something's got to happen. Because I'm so accessible.
Right.
Anybody could call me up and hire me for a show on any Saturday night, and
you're gonna go.
And I'm gonna go. Why wouldn't I go? So I go. But the thing about a break, like if you break something on somebody, it really is a truth serum, because you gotta really sit, like you have this break,
right,
and you gotta think about.
You're sitting there thinking,
why did I get this break? Could I have avoided this? There's this, and then even after you get the cast and you heal, then you got therapy.
Right.
So
you got a long time to think about it.
So I went to see the guy, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I was being a dick," and so we kind of squashed it. It was cool. But what's funny? What I think is funny is that
did you guys kind of become friends after that? Because I feel
like really, because we didn't know each other. But I mean,
because sometimes the best friendships are made in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely if he was. I just wasn't around him, but I would have definitely. But you when it's one thing when somebody says I'll beat the shit out of you, and another thing when somebody has beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you gotta really be a warrior kind of dude when you take that ass whipping, and then you go. And we're not talking about where there's a purse,
right?
And promoters. We're talking about in the street where you could just.
Yeah,
you could never see this motherfucker again. You got to be a real motherfucker to go. I'm gonna go back in for another dose
and try it out.
And
here's where I went wrong. I think I can come back.
That don't happen in street fights.
Right. So, unless that person's just wired wrong.
Yeah, right. He's wired wrong, or he's really that. It's a dude that likes fight. I mean, there's dudes that just like to fight.
Right. Maybe after the 5th time they get the message.
Yeah. And sometimes never. So, but yeah, he was we ended up squashing it. But I mean, what's funny is that I think, like, I'm 52 now, so I'm in a place where I got a handful of right hands, the right hooks. I got a small bag of right hands that I keep just in case. But I'm really not trying to scrap like that no more. I mean,
really, you did offer him a couple of ways out of it. It's like, hey man, you sure? That's 2 more than most people would have given him.
Yeah. But there's a level of confidence you have to do that.
To do that, exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
But you grow up and you decide you stop trying to, because you're always trying to prove yourself to yourself. Am I really, you're challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And the physicality of it is what's interesting. And I think what happens is the scary thing is not having the fear of danger anymore.
Right.
Like when you go in so quickly and when you're so readily to go in, you actually start to eliminate the fear element. And that's a scary thing because
because that's a good instinct.
I mean, I don't know if it's a good instinct, but let's just say this: if you don't have that instinct and you don't have that fear, you need to make sure that you're considering all the variables all the time.
Right.
So you're walking into a situation just because normally you would have the fear and then you process the fear, but when you don't have the fear, you don't process the fear.
But I know guys who would still be like the best thing to do. Well-trained guys who's like, listen, the best thing to do is still run.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I mean, and that's probably like if you're going against 4 or 5 guys or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you really honestly, as a kid, I was a scary kid.
Right.
So I was in like elementary school. I was a scary kid. I had a bully, but I was one of those kids that like you would take advantage of me, and then me and my sister had bunk beds, and I would be the bottom bunk, and I would be staring at those springs underneath the bunk bed for weeks on end. I should have did this. I should have did that. I should have did. And I really just got to the point where I didn't want to be afraid anymore.
Right.
I just got tired of being afraid, and which is really kind of profound at a young age that I understood this, that fear exists between when the opportunity is presented to you and when you access the opportunity. So the longer you take to access the opportunity, the less likely you are to access the opportunity because the fear starts to build.
Right.
Starts to build and build, and then it almost becomes it paralyzes you.
Well, and another thing about fear, and once, and this is true of most things with fear.
Sure.
The fear is always worse than the result. And then when you're on
Absolutely.
the other side of whatever it is, a show you're fucking regretting, talking to a girl, whatever it is,
anything.
you're like, oh, fuck, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
So once you go through that a couple times in fighting, you're like, man, I can kind of take an ass kicking there.
Yeah, I can do this. Then when you win a couple, you're like, wow. Then
now
it's
you're looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. And then when you realize also is that everybody, 99% of people have that same fear.
Yeah.
And when you're the dude who takes the initiative.
Right.
So what made me afraid a lot of time was the anticipation of the fight.
Right.
And so I would always throw the first punch. Like if it was, yo, what the fuck you got? Bang! I would,
Yeah.
And then the fight was on, and then usually because I got the first punch off, guy was already wrecked, and he really wasn't about that life anyway, and then didn't want anything. And then I got this charge out of being the dude who everybody was tiptoeing around anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're like, yo, this motherfucker's crazy. But I wasn't crazy. I was afraid.
I was afraid.
I was afraid, and then it became something else.
It was the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what? There's so many times where I've been like, oh, fuck. And it's the same thing. It's like, get to him first.
Yeah.
Get to him fucking first. Hit him first. And then you get, and then there's a situation where it's like, it's not the worst thing in the world if you get hit, so wets your chin.
Yeah.
And then you still might get a motherfucker who can throw a good shot or get lucky or whatever the situation is.
And if you get dropped, you dropped.
Right.
It's over.
Right. Right.
You're waking up and you got to lick your wounds afterwards anyway. So, you become immune to the fear and that, and then you really have to be aware of your surroundings and be able to read the room, because then you'll put yourself in dangerous situations.
Because now it's like, who's got a gun?
You don't give a fuck.
That's what I mean. It's like if you would have ran, you never would have been exposed to the fucking lock the door and 6 guys with pipes.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so
It's
where
true.
you're so ready to go.
Yeah. Tyler wanted to say that he saw a video of you fucking knocking a guy out that very few people have probably seen because it was a part of the trailer that the dudes from the stand were sort of showing people quietly. So I know he wanted to talk about that, but you know he's in there doing whatever he's doing.
We shot. We did a pilot that A&E almost picked up.
Oh.
It was really good. I really thought it was a good pilot. It was called Bounce. It's on YouTube. It's Bounce Part 1 and Part 2, and it was me running bouncers in New York City, different things like, you know, where we were doing bodyguard work and bodyguarding jewelers like Diamond Sorters and rap concerts and stuff like that. And, you know, it was kind of like the cast of characters on a bounce. I mean, you bounce people or no?
No.
Really, you really should have. You're tall enough.
I know. I just heard somebody go, as I was walking by the cellar, somebody was like, didn't that guy used to bounce here?
So but you know, you got the young guy and the old vet and the clown and the ego guy and stuff, and so we did that.
Oh, cool! So I can go and see that. I can go and see that fight on. I'm gonna do
it's
that.
A little pop. The dude. What happens is the dude is drunk, and the dude kind of, we're filming, and it was not just because he was part of the club, but we're filming, we're doing B-roll, and the guy goes, "Yo, what's?" I was like, "You don't see me? The camera. There's a camera. What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And then he has a bottle in his hand, and he kind of readjusts the bottle, like
oh yeah, from this to this, right.
And I clock him and drop him in the fucking.
And that's real.
Yeah. That was real.
Oh, that's just about as bad as it could get.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, listen, man. Thank you so much. And Dante's show, the Bass Phillips Show, is super popular. And I'm gonna come and do that on Monday.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
I'm
awesome.
At you with everything.
Thanks so much, guys. This is another episode of Fight Stories. I'm John Moses, Tyler Morrison. Subscribe, share, comment, rate, support the show. We love you guys. Thanks. Thanks for listening to another episode of Fight Stories. This is the second to last episode of the season. Next week, season finale with Colt Knorr. That was a live event that we had a couple of weeks ago. We're rolling it out to you guys now. We're taking a couple of weeks off, maybe a month or so, and then we'll be right back at you guys with some more Fight Stories. We're just loading the gun, boys. We're loading her up, traveling around, digging in the swamps. If you're on Patreon, though, we've got another 5 or 6 episodes that we're holding in the can that we're going to be rolling out. And also, we've got live footage from some episodes, and we'll even give an early release on the live footage or video recorded of one of the episodes we got coming up in season 2 with Doug the Thug, the real life goon. So you can catch that all on Patreon. You know, if you're a premium subscriber, we'll be sending you all kinds of goodies, shirts, our comedy albums, and free tickets to live events. We are cooking up some good ones. Guys, if you have a fight story, we want to hear it. If you know somebody that has a fight story, we want to hear it. If you know of a legend that lives in a straw hut on the other side of town, we want to knock on the door. We're traveling for these bad boys. This is the stuff that gets us fired up. Email us. Get to us on Twitter. Get to us. Shoot us a DM on Instagram, and we're gonna do an episode where we read out the best ones. And if you wanna record it and throw it up on YouTube or something like that, then we'll air the ones that we think are worthy. Who knows? We might even get you your own episode. That's it, guys. Keep following us. Keep supporting us. Subscribe, share, buy a shirt for Christ's sakes, and you can wear it under one of your fancy suits when you're out in the world, and nobody will know. It'll be our little secret. Thanks for listening.